Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. So we'll wait for 1 minute, and then right after that we'll start. So people are actually joining. So let's wait for some time, and we'll join right after that. Guys, please confirm that am I audible or not? You can just write down in the chat box. Please confirm me that you guys can hear me properly. Or yeah. Great. Thank you so much. Thank you. Hi. Good morning, Bilal. How are you? Great. Thank you so much. Thank you. So I'll be starting this webinar now. You guys can see the screen. So my name is Saqib. I'm the Regional Director of IFA for UAE. And so I really want to thank first to IFA for providing this platform for us to discuss this new and a very big news for UAE people, of course, which is corporate tax. What we really want is that every single member of IFA family in UAE must be aware, must be updated with all the relevant changes, with all the relevant information they require for managing their work within their within their career, and they are continuously updated. So for that, what we have planned is we have planned a series of webinars, not just one. So it is going to be a series of webinars, and we are going to do these webinars very frequently as soon as we have updated information, and we'll keep that sharing with you guys. So that is one thing that everybody has to please continue watching. Just go to the IFA's online webinar list and make sure that you have all the information and you are aware of the of all the events being planned. We would really try to share that information through our WhatsApp groups, through our other platforms whenever we have this new webinar. I will keep this webinar very short. The topic is very new, and we'll keep this. So then this will be under 30 minutes. In 30 minutes, we'll complete all the information, and I'll keep it very short and crisp. But meanwhile, if you guys have any problem, or if you guys have any issue, or you guys have any question, you are most welcome to write it down in the chat box. I'll be more than happy to answer that. So just a brief intro from my side. Again, my name is Saqib. I'm a chartered accountant by profession. I'm the owner and partner of SA Consultants, which is an audit firm in UAE. I'm also the privileged to be a regional director of Institute of Financial Accountants UK UAE. So that's my brief intro, and I'll start this webinar now. So guys, I understand that this news was recently, it was actually announced on 31st of January 2022, that UAE is going to apply corporate tax from 2023. Now, why this corporate tax and how it is going to be applied? So we have compiled all the relevant information and the basic information for you guys to understand what is going to be applicable, how it is going to be applicable. So for this, yes, when it is going to apply, this is going to start from 1st June 2023. But the important portion and important part of this corporate tax is that this is going to be applied on the profits, business profits of all types of organizations, of course, and there are certain exceptions which we will discuss in the later slides. So this is going to be applied on the business profits starting from 1st June 2023. So any organization whose first financial year is on or after 1st June 2023, so this will be applicable to those organizations. So this is just to clarify that you guys have to make sure that you guys are prepared in advance, you guys know every detail and everything which is required for this applicability of course, the corporate tax. So what is corporate tax? Absolutely, most of the accountants who are here with me, and you guys already know that corporate tax is a form of direct taxation which is applied on the net income or profit of the organizations, corporations, or any sort of businesses within a specific regime. Now, the applicability, of course, which I've already explained to you, that UAE corporate tax regime will become effective for the financial year starting on or after 1st June 2023. So this direct tax form or direct tax type of corporate tax will be applied from 1st June 2023. Now, so there were a lot of questions being asked by my fellow accountants, my colleagues, all other people who really want to understand the application of the corporate tax. So corporate tax, how it will be or who it will be applied to. So corporate tax will be applied to all sort of businesses having the commercial activities, but there is one exception, of course, which I don't know if that is applicable to any of you or if it is not, but you just to understand that any extraction of the national resources within the UAE, so that will definitely remain to the subject to emirate level corporation tax, and that is the exception in this case. But any other business operating within the UAE, that will be applied. They'll be applicable by the corporate tax regime. So, big question: how much tax the company have to pay starting from 1st June 2023? So there are three types of brackets which we have recently received. It was sort of an announcement from Federal Tax Authority. So the first bracket is going to be the 0%. The 0% will apply to the income, taxable income, up to 375,000 dirhams. So any income, any taxable income till up to 375,000 dirhams, so that will be applied with the rate of 0%. But anything over and above of 375,000, that will be charged at the rate of 9%. But yes, there is some exception, of course. There is going to be another rate, but that rate will be only for the large multinational groups, multinational companies, those who actually will meet the specific criteria, which is sort of set by with the reference of Pillar 2 of the OECD-based reunion and profit shifting project. So those that is going to be the third one, but we have not been so there's no such information at the moment related to that third bracket. So for now, you can say that there are two brackets, which is 0%, which will be applied to 375,000 dirhams worth of money, which is the taxable income, and that would be 0%. But anything over and above that 375,000 dirhams will be taxed at 9%. Now, there was like huge, concern. People actually came back and said, is this going to be applied on the individual incomes? No, it is not going to be applied on the individual income being generated through salaries, through dividends, or anything like that. So it will not be. So that individual income will not be taxed. Question again, of course, exemptions. So yes, there is an exemption, of course, and that exemption is 375,000 dirhams of profits. So this 375,000 dirhams of profits will be at 0%. So of course, this is an exemption. It's a very important part to support these small businesses, to support small businesses, to support startups, any other organization starting their businesses. So they will be definitely taxed at the rate of 0% up to the profits being generated within the financial year, 375,000 dirhams. So the tax will apply to the personal income? No, of course not. It will not be applied to the personal income. It will not be applied to any income being generated through employment. It will not be applied to any income being generated through real estate, through capital gains, any other investments, direct investments by the individuals. So any other income being earned by the individuals that does not arise from a business or other form of commercial activity, which is again licensed or permitted to be undertaken in the UAE. So it is very, very, very clear. So the corporate tax will only be applied, and that will only be applicable to the business related, any income being generated through the business activities, any income being generated through the commercial activities within the UAE. Now, so is your revenue going to be taxed or only the profits? So it is very clear as per the given information, as per the information being recently shared by the local authorities, that the corporate tax will only be applied to the profits, corporate profits, corporation, the profits of the corporations, not to the revenue. But yes, how those accounting profits will be calculated, that is a big question mark. Of course, there are so many things which we need to consider to come to the level of where we can say that, okay, so these are the right amounts which has to be taxed. So for that, we do not have the right information at the moment. Yes, we do have some assumptions based on our experience for dealing the corporate tax in other jurisdictions and all that, which of course I'll share a couple of them within the upcoming slides. So what about the foreign investors? Are they going to be taxed? So UAE, of course, UAE has a position of being a global financial center and being international business hub. So UAE has taken up the responsibility, and they have not imposed any withholding taxes on domestic and cross-border payments. So it is very clear. So this is going to be applied. The tax will be applied for only on top of that kind of profits which are being generated within the UAE, through the business activities, through the commercial activities within the UAE. So will the new law impact current free zone incentives? I'm not sure if you guys are aware of that. There are so many free zones which actually give different types of incentives to the owners, which includes 100% ownership, which includes other sort of incentives. So the corporate tax, this whole new regime, it will be applied only to the, of course, mainly to the mainland companies. But if there are any sort of exemptions to the free zone companies, so they will continue to enjoy those exemptions. They will continue to enjoy that exception and incentives. But there is, of course, something which we need to consider, because free zone companies are always being considered as 100% ownership, and there are so many other restrictions they have. So they cannot trade, they cannot do services, or they cannot offer services within the mainland in most of the circumstances. Under those circumstances, if they are doing so, if there is any company who is dealing with the mainland company, and so that will mean that they will be obliged to pay 9% or 0%, of course, as per the income being generated by that organization, and they might have to be considered as tax applicable. So again, I've already explained this in very detail. So any other company, if a company is in the free zone, but they are operating similarly to the mainland entity, there may be no difference in the way corporate taxes apply to them. So it's very clear. So can we record? So yes, question mark, a big question mark, because the taxable profits will be equivalent to your, of course, it is going to be the accounting net profits. So people were asking if they can record salaries, if they can increase the salaries of the partners, if they can increase or if they can record salaries of family, if they can do other stuff with the numbers, so they can reduce the profits and they can enjoy, they can keep their profits below 375,000 dirhams. So they need to be, there is clarity, of course. Why? Because the tax laws, what we have seen from other jurisdictions, those are very clear about the shareholders, partners, family members, and their expenses related to these people, or salaries related to these people. So tax law will definitely give us the clarification on that. So of course, in UAE, it's always very, the government is always very transparent. The government is always very clear. They always try to keep things very simple. So in that case, we should expect that we will definitely get some guidance on that, around that how these transactions can be dealt within the tax law and as per the tax law. And once the complete law is out, so we'll definitely have some information around that. So is there any other guideline available? Of course, yes, there are some guidelines which we can definitely consider. So businesses will only need to file one corporate tax return. It is not going to be quarterly, it is not going to be monthly. So there will be only one tax return, which is going to be right after the financial year ends. And so the companies will be required to file any sort of provisional tax returns? No, they are not going to be, there's no such requirement. We have not received any such information at the moment. And it is assumed, and it is, we can say that there's going to be only one single tax return every year. What about the transfer pricing, which is again going to be a huge area? We're also preparing some slides for you guys, and we're going to arrange another webinar very soon. So for that, is there going to be any specific are there going to be any specific rules, regulations for transfer pricing, and what kind of documents we have to keep, what kind of requirements we have to manage? So it is very clear that with reference to OECD transfer pricing guidelines, we have to follow the complete guidelines, and we will be, if there is any transfer pricing applicability within the organization, so they have to follow those rules. Now, what kind of transfer pricing rules we have to follow? It is very clear for basic understanding. It is very clear. And what is that? That the transfer pricing rules actually seek to ensure that the transactions between related parties are carried out on arm's length terms. And if there is any transaction which was carried out between independent parties, so you have to assume that any transaction within the related parties, that has to be carried out in the best fair way possible. So for that, we are going to have a separate session where you will get some knowledge about the transfer pricing rules, how it will be applied, how we have to make sure that we comply with the whole scenario of the corporate tax rules. So for depreciation policies, again, it's a non-cash item within the accounting books of accounts. So should we change it or not? So, or the rates will be changed or not? So of course, again, it's very important that you need to understand the tax law will definitely specify, we'll get some clarity around that how these rates will be applied, what type of asset will be taxed at what, depreciated at what type of rate, what kind of rules and regulations we have to follow. So we'll definitely get some clarity around that. I'm sorry. So Another question which needs to be answered: if there are multiple companies within one group, so do they need to file one single return, or they have to file 4 different returns or multiple returns for every single company? So this needs to be have to be cleared. So tax laws will definitely have, we expect that it will be something like tax groups, which we can create for multiple businesses within the same ownership or control. So they'll be definitely allowed to file one single return, and that will definitely reduce the effort and time and other stuff or other resources definitely be sort of, it will definitely help them to manage everything related to tax within one single return. So this is another one, which is what we need to clarify. Will there be any withholding tax while making payments to any parties around the world, domestic payments outside UAE? So as per the current available information, we are not sure about that, but there should be no withholding tax on any type of domestic or cross-border payment. So anything which we receive in future, any information we receive in future, we'll definitely share that with you guys. Again, what type of benefits we should expect, or we normally what type of benefits being shared by the governments who actually apply the corporate tax or they charge corporate tax. So it will definitely increase and support the government revenues, and we know that right after that the government will have the steady cash flows. Government will definitely re-inject that money through different big major projects, and they will shift that revenue to the local population and community, which will definitely help them in best way possible. That I've already explained. So you will also have the tax planning advantages, of course, which is pretty clear once we have all the information with us. The economic balance will be there, and you'll enjoy that benefit of being part of the very great economy. Can this thing will help renew the investment in small businesses? Of course, it will definitely. It will have a long-term impact, that the government will have more budgets to invest. Government will have more revenues to invest within the economy. So guys, thank you so much. Now we can, I really tried this to be very, we try to keep it very simple, straightforward, and because we don't have a lot of information at the moment, but we wanted to answer most of the questions which people are asking at the moment. So I have the first question here. All right, so what is the deadline to file the tax return? We do not have the deadlines being, we have not received any sort of deadlines, Bilal. We expect that once the tax law is out and shared with us, so we will have the clarity around that. Guys, you have any question? Shahid, I believe you had a couple of questions which you wanted to ask. Please feel free to ask. You can use the question answer box here, which should be available, Q&A box. Please hit there and type your question there. Well, there is, we need to clarify this, of course. There's no income tax. This is the corporate tax, the corporate income tax, of course. And you're asking that Dubai airport free zones, or as free zones are VAT tax free, will the same rule will apply? Of course, this is what I tried to clarify in my presentation, that the free zones will definitely continue enjoying, those companies within the free zone will continue to enjoy those exceptions and exemptions. But if they have, if they are acting in the same manner of the mainland companies, so they should expect the same rules. Again, there'll be definitely some clarity around that. We'll definitely expect that very soon. Zubair, there's no sample for format of tax returns which is not being shared at the moment. we should expect that to be shared very soon, maybe in next few months, of course, but very soon. And once we have that, we'll definitely share that format, the tax return dates, what important information you have to consider before filing, all that type of information. We will definitely, we'll try to train you guys, of course, because this is our, we feel that this is our responsibility to share all that information. Shahid, again, this is the operational question, that is there going to be any requirement for registration separately, or it is going to be dealt under the same TRN number, which is usually there under the VAT rule and regulation? So we're still waiting for the clarity around that. Again, we should expect that these things will be very straightforward and simple. So let's see how it goes actually. But currently, there's no such information available. Shahid, again, you have asked about the audited statements. So it is very clear that the tax will be applied to the reported accounting net profits, and it is very clear. But that does not mean that you will be having that kind of liberty, of course, to do whatever you want to do with your with your report numbers to be reported. So, of course, you have to follow the exact rules and regulations set by the International Financial Reporting Standards. And if there are any exceptions, or if there are any important, rules and regulations mainly related to your salaries, again, related to the depreciation and all that kind of stuff. So that will be definitely clarified through the tax law. Yes, that's a very good question, by the way, that if they have the income, if the companies are having income below 375,000 dirhams, are they obliged to file the tax return at the rate, 0% rate? So, of course, we think it's not clear. I'm just giving you a personal opinion, which we have developed through the discussion within our fraternity, of course. And what we think, that because there is a rate being associated, which is 0%. So we think that they might have to file the return, but they will that return will be filed under the 0% tax rate. But let's see, it is still not clear. So we have to still wait for that. I believe that the question being asked is that is there going to be a separate portal for the return? Still not clear, of course. Any audit will be there, or any audit will be required. If you are asking, I'm not sure if you're asking about the statutory audit by the third-party auditors registered within the UAE. I'm not. Again, we are not clear. We are not clear about this thing. But yes, it is going to be very important, of course, that you have to keep your records, you have to keep your accounting records in very clear form. You have to make sure that you follow the right sort of information, you follow the right sort of guidelines set by the International Financial Reporting Standards, and of course the expected guidelines by the local authorities of UAE. So this is very important. Yes, any audit, of course, the authority will have the they will have the liberty of doing the audit, of course, from their side, which currently, of course, you might have seen in case of VAT, FTA has the right of doing the audit of your books at any point of time whenever they want to. So that kind of audit you should expect, of course. It can be there, of course. So Shahid, you've asked another question. Who have to be audited the report? I'm not sure. You need to ask this question in much. You have to ask this question again, maybe, because if you're asking about the audited reports, So of course, those reports have to be audited by the authorized auditor, of course, registered within the UAE. If you have any other question, then please write it again. So tax agent or agency in corporate tax, Shahid, we have to still wait for this on clarity on this part. Tax agents which are there previously, those are mostly related to the of course those were related to VAT, value added tax. But for corporate tax, are they going to use the same agents, or there might be other sort of qualification being required for the corporate tax? So we still need to wait for that. And because I remember that, if I'm sure that this information is correct, but we have to see if, please correct me if I'm wrong. So this for the for the VAT agents, the tax agents, previously there was a course they had to appear and they have to pass that course. So if we see that, if we apply or assume that, yes, there's going to be the same kind of criteria for the corporate tax agents. So if there are any, of course, so definitely there'll be some courses they might have to appear and they have to pass. So, Junaid, there is again, the clarity will be definitely there once the law is available. But yes, we can assume at the moment, if the financial year end is 31st December. So at the moment, it has been said that any company whose financial year is starting from 1st of June or after the 1st of June, so they have to file the tax return. They have to make sure that they apply the right brackets of tax being given by the authorities. Now, if the company has a 31st December year end, so they have to see that. So for example, in 31st December, on 31st December 2023, how they are going to apply. So because it is going to be applied on the profits being generated from 1st June 2023. So again, we need to see that if the companies have to separate the books, they have to wait for 2024, or they have to file the return for 2023, 31st December 2023. But again, just like ESR, just like any other reporting criteria, so government is very clear, and they will give you the right clarity about that. They will give you the right deadlines and schedule for filing the tax return according to that. So we should wait for that. Wakil is asking that which countries' tax law formats are more similar to UAE? It's a very difficult question. Look, UAE, of course, is now applying of course, they will be bringing this tax regime in the best possible way. And we believe that the formats will be very simple and formats will be very clear and straightforward. So it is not going to be that complicated. So you should be waiting for that again. We can say maybe British formats, or maybe we can say any other corporate tax formats. But problem is that this is very early to state. This is very early to say that what kind of formats, what kind of forms we have to file, we have to fill. So for that, again, we need to wait. And what we need to make sure that once we have all the information available, so IFA will definitely provide this platform and keep providing this platform to you guys. Being a member, you will definitely be aware of all the details, all the updates, all the information, guidelines, rules, and we'll definitely try to train you on this part. All right, so I'm just checking the chat box if there is any sort of question which is not answered. Yes, you'll definitely get the slides, and for that we have a representative in this webinar from IFA. and these slides will be shared with the IFA office in UK, and you will definitely get those slides from their side. So I assume that there are no more questions. I hope that you guys have enjoyed. Please confirm me if you have any question. Please let me know. You can always see that on the screen. You can see that my email address is also there, and you're most welcome to connect with me directly. If you have any sort of question, we'll try to answer those questions if in the best possible way. And thank you so much for joining this webinar. You should expect another webinar very soon, but for that, again, you will definitely get an email from IFA's side. Please make sure that your registration is active. You should be active member to get all the to enjoy all sort of webinars and information related to webinars from IFA. So if you again have any problem, any issue related to that, please, you're most welcome to connect with me on that. Right? Thank you so much, guys. Enjoy your day and take care. Please expect that you will get the slides from IFA because you guys must have shared your email addresses. So thank you so much. Take care.